surprise finding, a new poll revealing Americans view Obamacare more favorably than the GOP tax cuts. But what will it mean for the midterm elections? Here now is Hadley Heath Manning, Independent Minutes Forum Policy Director. I mean, what do you make of this? First, I have to say that I discount polls now, and people hate it when I say this, especially people who pay for polls. But after the last election, it's always you have to take every poll with a grain of salt. Given that, what do you make of this?
Well, we've known for a long time that Obamacare has been a divisive issue. In fact, the percentage of people who say that they favor it or support it, even in this poll, was at 51%. So that's not something to write home about. However, the GOP tax plan is at 40% approval, so that should be concerning for Republicans. It should be a reminder that they need to be communicating well about what the law does and the state of the economy, and reminding people that objectively our economy is in pretty good shape. On the other hand, Obamacare is an 8-year-old law now, and I think it's starting to enjoy what we call a status quo advantage, where people perceive there to be some benefits from the law, especially people who have been newly enrolled in Medicaid or who get those very generous taxpayer-funded subsidies to lower their cost for insurance. They may not see that, in fact, the cost of insurance has been skyrocketing.
The other thing that struck me is the unfavorables are really high, too. If you look at people who view the tax law unfavorably, 41%, so that's obviously more than are favorable. And the unfavorable on Obamacare, 44%. So it's sort of like, when you ask people, they're quick to say they hate stuff, too.
That's right. That's why I said it's been divisive. There are people who, just as people perceive those benefits to be helping them, there are people, on the other hand, who, as a direct result of the Affordable Care Act, have seen their premiums go up. Those are people who maybe don't get those subsidies that I mentioned, or there are people who had their insurance plans canceled altogether after they were promised that they could keep the plans that they liked. And those people have effectively found new means to take care of themselves now. They've joined healthcare sharing ministries. They might have direct primary care arrangements with doctors now, but they've never been able to scrap together exactly what they had before the Affordable Care Act, which is to say an affordable insurance plan.
Yeah. I also heard someone else saying today, which I thought was pretty smart, is that when you look at these polls, that doesn't necessarily translate to turnout. It doesn't tell you a lot about how these people feel. Does that make them feel a certain way about a candidate? And does that mean they're actually going to go out and vote if you try and translate this to the midterms? What do you think this tells us about the midterms, if anything?
Well, of course, in addition to favorability or unfavorability on the individual issues, we have to think about how voters are weighting those issues. And Obamacare, although it was a big subject of discussion in 2017, hasn't been at the center of the debate in 2018. In fact, Democrats are moving to the left and proposing Medicare for all. I think that will be more of an issue on the health care front. And as you mentioned, the likelihood of voters to actually turn out, that's something that pollsters generally don't start asking until later in September, because we're still, a lot of us on summertime here until the kids get back in school and we start, buckling down and paying attention to current events. A lot of people aren't really sure yet if they're going to vote or how.
What do you think is going to, real quick, what do you think is going to be the biggest driving issue of the midterm if you had to pick one or two?
I think the debate about the economy, and the economy is several issues all wrapped into one. It's the tax plan, it's the tariffs, it's trade deals. So I think that's going to be the #1 issue. However, from this poll, we can see that people have a very partisan lens through which they view the economy. Republicans saying they think things are going excellent or very good, while people who are independent or Democrats don't see that as much. And so we're going to have an all-out debate over the statistics and the indicators and what they really mean in people's pocketbooks.
Hadley Heath Manning, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.